Hello everybody, I am near my home in beautiful Sedona, Arizona at the Bell Rock Trail, and today I'm giving you a video with some advice on 8 healthy living tips for seniors. My name is Dawn Dickinson and the channel is Reflections and Insights for Life Over 55. I hope you enjoy the content today. I'm going to start out right away going into my first tip, which is going to be to maintain a healthy weight. So this is kind of funny for those of us who are in my age group because if you remember when we were younger, the trend was to be as skinny as possible. You wanted to be twiggy. That was a role model, and I remember spending every day getting on the scale, seeing how much I weighed, and oh my goodness, you know, we were striving to be 105, 110 pounds, 115 pounds, which is often quite unrealistic for people with a larger frame. And so a lot of us got eating disorders based on that unhealthy mindset that was put into our heads by, you know, culture and the models and television. So maintaining a healthy weight is good. Now, what's ironic is today it seems like the younger girls seem to think that being 200 pounds is okay and healthy. And of course that is not. We all know that. But you probably know what's best, what your best weight is. So if you would strive to be for that weight, that's going to be good. The other thing is I'm about 10, actually I'm more like 15, 20 pounds over what I know my ideal weight is, but I'm not going to fret over it anymore. You know, I'm going to be as healthy as I can, eat as healthy as I can, and the weight will come off. And just keeping the healthy weight is my tip number one for healthy living over 55. Okay, so tip number 2 is to eat a healthy diet. Now, over the years, we've all seen diets come and go. Atkins diet, juice diet, keto diet. All of these probably are good for short term, possibly not even good for short term. What you're better off to do is just stick to a balanced diet to avoid that food pyramid probably, because that's not really very healthy, but stick to having a lot of protein, vegetables, fats, and limit your starches and sugars. So healthy diet is very important. My diet advice, and again, I've had an eating disorder most of my life and my weight goes up and down, and right now I'm close to my healthiest weight, so I'm not an expert, but from my experience what I seem to realize works is one is to avoid added sugar. And we eat way too much sugar in the American diet. Sugar is addicting. I know it's been a big problem for me over the years, and instead of counting fat like I did when I was younger, or carbohydrates, I just look for added sugar. And for a woman my age, probably keeping it under 24, 25 grams for the day is a good goal. Men probably a little higher, maybe 35, 50. Again, I'm not going to tell you what the exact amount of added sugar is that you need to strive for, but I would suggest you do research and look at what the maximum amount of added sugar you should add. Also avoid simple carbohydrates, because those are basically going to convert to sugar right away. And then the last thing, probably the most important thing, is to avoid processed foods and fast foods. When you go grocery shopping, once I went to a dietitian and she recommended when you go to the grocery store, shop at the perimeter of the store, because that's where all the healthy and real foods are, and avoid stuff that's in the center aisles, because that's where all the processed foods, that's where we're going to find all of those. So tip number 3 is to incorporate moderate exercise into your daily routine. Now, this is kind of funny because I moved to Sedona because we have all of these beautiful hiking trails, and this Bell Rock Trail, is a very simple trail. It's about 5 minutes from my home, and yet I have a very hard time getting myself motivated to come hike it when I'm by myself. When my daughter comes, we can easily do it, but what my next plan to do, or my next goal, is to at least do this trail by myself once a day. The other thing is you can incorporate just walking. Take your dog for a walk. Swimming is good, but light exercise, because what we want to do is find an exercise that's good for us, that we are going to do and that we're not going to complain about, and it's not going to be too hard on our body. Another thing that's good is light weight training. Now, I know myself, I think weight training is probably the most boring thing of all time, and for me, to be realistic, I'm not going to do it. But if you are going to get a set of light hand weights and do, you know, curls and that kind of a thing, that's also very good. But do some type of exercise, something that you know you will do. Another thing that's really good for seniors is Tai Chi and yoga, so just look into that. In fact, if you can get into some kind of a class where you can do Tai Chi, it's also good because you've got kind of a 2-for-1 thing going on, because first, you're doing exercise, and second, you're getting out of the house and you're meeting other people and you're socializing. So that is actually going to bring me to my tip number 4, which is you need to stay socially connected with people. And I'm not talking about social media. Social media is actually kind of tough because you're kind of hiding anonymously. You don't really connect with people. People will say stuff because they feel like they can, and they can say mean stuff. And so social media is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about going out and doing things with your friends, going out to meet new people, possibly joining clubs, doing hobbies, and socially connect with people, maybe calling an old friend and talking on the phone for a while. Remember when we were young? I mean, I used to get on the phone, and of course it would be the shared phone for the household, and I talked to my friend on the phone for an hour, and my dad would come, "Get off the phone, somebody might be calling me." So again, just pick up the phone and talk, because that could be very, very good for your mental health. So staying social connected is tip number 3. Now, tip number 4 is to maintain your grooming habits. Now, it seems kind of silly, but I know sometimes when you're getting older and, oh, I'm not going out of the house today, I don't need to take a shower, you know, that's okay every once in a while, but you don't want to get to the point where you're only bathing once a week or so. Make sure your hair gets washed regularly and your clothes are washed. And probably the most important thing when it comes to grooming, and I just discovered that recently, is your dental health. So I just saw a video recently with Dr. Amen. Amen, I'm not sure if I said his name right, but he is a brain health expert, and he says that actually gum disease and gingivitis is linked to cognitive decline. And I'm like, holy crap. So make sure you go to the dentist regularly. The big risk, I guess, is if you have gingivitis, which is something that I have, gum disease. And so I use the electric toothbrush that the dentist has recommended. I use that every day, and I also go to the dentist for my cleanings every 3 months because I have the gingivitis, and if I don't do that, my gums will start to bleed and they'll hurt. And then now that I know that could risk my mental decline, I'm really on it, because my mother has severe dementia, and I've seen just how horrible that is, and what that can do to the family. So again, maintain your good grooming habits, and especially your oral and dental health. Okay, tip number 6 is to continuously challenge your brain. You need to keep mentally sharp and do stuff, learn, always be out to learn new things. Other things you could do is just read every day, do crossword puzzles. I remember my grandparents doing crossword puzzles, and if you'll notice, people in my grandparents' generation seem to have less incidence of the dementia than people in my own generation or my parents' generation. So crossword puzzles, reading every day, learning something new, maybe going out and taking a class, doing something like a cooking class where you have, again, the double whammy where you're connecting with people and you're learning something. You're learning something how to cook, and a triple whammy, actually. You're learning how to do make meals that will be healthy for you, or an exercise class, but keep your brain engaged. Keep your brain healthy and working every single day. Maybe get a hobby, but something that will keep your brain thinking every day. I've seen people that they go into retirement and then they sit home on the couch every day and they watch TV, and that's all they do. And suddenly next year they've got the dementia. So probably keeping your brain engaged, that's probably my number 1 tip. Okay, I'm not going to rate these tips, but keeping your brain healthy and challenging it, that is very high on the list of healthy living tips for senior. So number 7 is to avoid unnecessary medications. Now, if you turn on the TV, this is a very easy trap to get into, because you turn on the TV and at least half of the television commercials, sometimes 3/4 of them, are for pharmaceutical company products, drugs. And are those necessary? But they can get you mentally thinking, oh, I need this drug, or something's going to go wrong. So avoid the ones that you don't need. Don't go to your doctor and say, do I need this drug? But do go to your doctor regularly. Just question, do I really need this drug? So one drug I'm going to say, I hope I don't get in trouble for this, is something like statins. Okay, so I worked in the pharmaceutical industry in the late 1980s when the first cholesterol reducer Mevacor was approved, and then Zocor was approved, son of Mevacor, and those were the first class of cholesterol reducers. And all the cardiologists were saying you need these cholesterol reducers if you have high cholesterol, because it's going to reduce your risk of having a heart attack. Well, 40 years have passed, 50 years have passed. Do they really increase or decrease your risk of dying of heart attack? I don't know. Has there been any double-blind studies that show people who aren't on them with high cholesterol and people who aren't on them, do their lifespans increase? And what about the risks? So the example I'm thinking of was my mother has extremely bad dementia. She's at the point where she doesn't know who I am. She can't function on her own, and she has other physical problems that have gone along with the mental decline of the dementia. And my mother was probably an early patient of the the statins, the cholesterol reducers. And, you know, I do some research and it's controversy. Do they increase your risk of dementia? People say yes, people say no. Of course, the farm companies are all like, no, no way. So just be careful, do your research, don't get on some lifestyle improvement drug. You're going to be much better off if you have high cholesterol to just control your diet and keep it under control that way. I'm not saying don't ignore your high cholesterol. I'm just saying think twice before going on a long-term unnecessary medication, because that could have side effects that they just don't know about when they first came out. So tip number 8 is probably a bit of a no-brainer. It's just to quit smoking if you're still a smoker and to reduce your alcohol intake. Now, it's kind of funny because when I was younger, I used to like to go out and have drinks. Now, I was never a heavy drinker, but I did partake in the drinking. And as I'm aging, after 55 or so, I don't even really have any interest in drinking at all. Occasionally, maybe once every couple of months, I might go out with my girlfriends and we'll have a couple of margaritas at lunch. A lot of times people will give me bottles of wine for gift, which is fine, but they'll sit in my refrigerator for a year before I even open them. But it's nice when people come over that I could open them. Just if you're a smoker still, or if you consume a lot of alcohol, just keep that in mind. Just avoid the excessive drinking, because that's very bad for your health. I know people that are my own age that are chronic drinkers, and when I get together with them, I'm like, wow, you look a lot older than me, you know? So people my own age that they've been drinking for a long, long time, that seems to age people faster than if you avoid the alcohol. And then this is my last tip. It's very important for us to keep a positive mindset, especially, you know, things around us are depressing. The world actually is a little bit depressing, but if you keep a positive attitude, that's probably very high on the list of things that you could do for your health. So avoid negative stuff. You might not want to even watch the news at all, but avoid negative things. And I suggest finding positive podcasts or books or audiobooks or YouTube channels to get positive stuff. Now, one of my favorites is Dr. Wayne Dyer. He was an amazing psychologist, he's had probably tens of books, audio books, and advice. Subscribe to or pick up any Dr. Wayne Dyer books or any of these types of positive mindset people, because having a positive mindset, that's my last tip of the day. So my name's Dawn Dickinson, the channel Reflections and Insights of Life Over 55. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please consider hitting the subscribe button, because I'm going to be putting out this type of content every single week. And possibly if you like the video, hit the like button. The reason for this is, of course, when other people might find this information helpful, and when you hit the like button or the subscribe button, YouTube will put it out to more people and it will make them easier for them to find it. So again, my name's Dawn Dickinson. I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope to see you back here again next time.